Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where we delve into the world of cutting-edge technology and explore the possibilities of tomorrow and tear down the boundaries between online and offline, virtual and physical. And today we have a very special guest who's pushing the boundaries of fashion, technology, wearable tech like never before. Her name is Terrie Smith. She's the co-founder and global ambassador of wearable tech pioneer DIGISEQ. And she has a phenomenal background in fintech, having been the driving force behind MasterCard's digital enable service and helping create the concept of tokenisation that is used in ApplePay, GooglePay, Garmin and much more. And with the global wearable tech market expecting to reach a staggering $186 billion by 2030, Terrie's going to be sharing her insights on the state of fashion tech today and why the possibility for fashionable and wearable tech are endless. So in this fascinating conversation, we're going to explore key areas such as how sensors are being used to track biometric data, acting as an almost living ID, the role of wearable tech in controlling home or venue access and as an interface between the physical world and an augmented virtual one, and also the incredible diversity of applications created by wearable tech and its adoption by high-end fashion designers and luxury brands around the world. But I also want to learn more about the story behind her visionary leadership that has generated several groundbreaking payment technology patents as she continues to raise the bar for tech ingenuity. So buckle up and hold on tight, because no matter where you're listening in the world, I'm going to be beaming your ears all the way to London here in the UK, where Terrie will tell us all about her story and the future of wearable technology. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Terrie. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Oh, hi, Neil. Thank you for inviting me. Terrie Smith. I am the co-founder and global ambassador for DIGISEQ. Personally, I've come very much from a retail and payments environment, and all my life I've been at the edge, the leading edge or the bleeding edge, as you'd call it, of technology. So all my life I've been in, sort of communications, technology, and I've enjoyed creating and coming up with new ideas. And for the last 20 years, I've been in the payments industry.
Well, on this podcast, we have a bit of a tradition of revealing the backstory behind a guest's success and that moment where their passion for technology came from, or something that put them on the path they're on today. So, Terrie, can you share your origin story and that journey from creating the concept of a tokenization used for everything from ApplePay, GooglePay and Garmin to founding DIGISEQ? Because I feel like there's a big origin story here to share. And on top of that, you also became a global ambassador for wearable tech. So how did all these worlds collide for you?
Well, it really started off when I joined MasterCard, and I had quite a strange brief. It was very simple. Just get mobile payments working. And looking at where we were within the mobile world, there was a real intersection of mobile network operators, the handset manufacturers, the banks, and the application designers. And nobody could truly agree on where they all fit within the ecosystem. And there was quite a, how would you say, a little bit of antagonism between the payment industry and the mobile network operators, each wanting a slice of each other's pie. And eventually I sat down and went, well, look, we can't go on like this. And so I took it a little bit back to the drawing board about what we were doing. And we'd already been playing with what was known as pan mapping. And that means that you would have a companion card or a companion device for the purposes of contactless only payments. And I hit upon the idea, well, why can't we do it as a mobile? There were a lot of reasons why we could, and it took me a year to really sit down and work out how we could. So created the whole concept of what we call card tokenization today and submitted a patent. And then as time went forward, it was recognized, obviously, by the wallet companies, should I say, and the mobile companies as being something that they should really hook into. So we then developed the tokenization service. My team created the specifications. We worked, by sharing it out with Visa. We worked with the different XPays, as we called them in those days, and created the whole concept of being able to put your card into the mobile without having to go through having to send things away, having to involve the network operators. And it was quite a simple solution. So my bright light came on again, and I went, well, why can't we do that in a world anybody can have anything? It doesn't have to be a mobile. It could be something as simple as a key fob. It could be something as simple as a ring. It was a different concept because within the ring, the key fob, you don't have a battery. And so it doesn't communicate with a network. And the only way it communicates is through contactless NFC. But I came up with it and went, this is what we should be doing. And thought, well, time to do it. And that was it. And my whole thought was around bringing fashion and technology together. And it's the first time anybody had really sat there and said, how do we get fashion and technology to meet in the middle without having to worry about each other's businesses? And so the birth of DIGISEQ occurred. So, and what we did is we created this network whereby each service, payment service, were able to connect to us. And each of the brands is able to connect to us. They don't have to talk to each other. They don't have to know anything. They connect to us. And we do all of the magic in the middle and distribute the payment card details into the wearable. And it's as simple as that.
Wow, what an incredibly cool story. And I love how it all began with somebody saying, could you make mobile payments work? Very casually. And then fast forward to 2023, and many people listening to this podcast will routinely pay for goods seamlessly with things like smartwatches and smart rings, etc. And I was reading before you came on the podcast that the global wearable tech market is expected to reach 186 billion by 2030. Or what do you think the main focus contributing to this rapid growth in the industry?
Well, there are several factors, I guess, that have really occurred over the last, I think if you look at the back three years maybe. For a start, COVID was absolutely key in driving this forward. People got to the point where they said, well, don't want to actually touch anything anymore. And so contactless payments, whilst they were bubbling away under the surface and the payment schemes were trying very hard to push them, just didn't really sort of get the convenience of them. And it's a bit like, the Donald Rumsfeld saying, you don't know what you don't know. It's as simple as that. And once people were introduced to it, they took to it. It was like, a duck to water. And it then became extremely prevalent and extremely easy to do. So I think that was one of the key factors behind it. And then also, I think people have seen over the past 4 years, I think there's been a real shift in people's perception of, I want it and I want it yesterday. I'm not happy to wait for anything. So we knew that if we were going to satisfy this market and be part of this market, we had to come up with a method of being able to do instant gratification. So we created the capability for the consumer to go into a store, buy something, and literally through their mobile, turn it into a payment object, all in one simple step. And that then has really created a lot more interest and a lot more drive. And I think that, the industry has woken up to the fact that it's not difficult anymore. Let the technologists sort out the difficulties in it, and then people will use it. And I think that is quite a lot of the factors behind it.
You're so right what you're saying with the instant gratification thing and the impatience and wanting something now. I was listening to somebody on a train a few days ago, and they were talking about, I think it was Amazon Prime, and they had to wait more than 24 hours for something. The complaint, Prime's not Prime anymore. This is not good enough. And I think they expected it to be delivered on a Sunday. For whatever reason, it couldn't be delivered on the Sunday. I was like, how times have changed,
Yeah, very much so. And we knew that was changing. And it's a matter of, keeping up with what people actually want in this world. So it was very important for us. I mean, we had a little bit of, obviously, during COVID, people weren't going out to stores and they weren't using contactless payments. So we did a little bit of a regroup internally and said, what do we need to do to make it ready so that when consumers do come back to the stores, it's there, it's ready, and they can instantly go and use it. And that was one of the things that we knew we had to do.
And one of the big reasons I invited you on the podcast today was the excitement around wearable tech. And I'm curious, what do you think the advantages are of things like passive wearable tech, such as smart clothing, over wearables like smartwatches? And how is this difference driving innovation and collaboration between tech innovators and future-focused designers? What are you seeing out there at the moment?
I think what we're seeing is the need for low-cost simplicity.
Yeah.
I think not everybody wants to afford to buy a £300 or £400 watch that does this, does that, wakes you up, and sings to you in the morning. People are seeking simplicity. So they are looking for things that they can afford, things that they can actually make easy to use and easy to wear. The other thing I think that people really crave is the security and the knowledge of the fact that it will always be on. There's nothing worse, believe you me, than turning up at a point of sale, you go to pay for something and the battery on your phone dies. And you go, oh, dear me. Whereas when you're looking at a passive wearable, there is no battery, it doesn't die, it's there, you can trust it. And so I'd never leave the house, seriously, never leave the house without my payment device on me. And that might be a ring, it might be key fob because it's on my car keys if I just whip out to the shops, or it might be a bracelet if I'm going out for the evening or just generally in the day. And I think as well, people are becoming very savvy about intrusion, and they're becoming quite savvy about being able to be tracked. Now, I'm not saying that they can't work out where you are when you use your device, but it's not on you active, and there's nothing that can monitor you from, the minute you wake up to the minute that you go back to bed again. So I think we're in that era now where people are going, I just want something that gives me a little bit of anonymity and something I can trust and something I like to wear and something that doesn't look like a damn great big mobile phone sitting on my wrist. Yeah. So it's a big combination of all of those factors that's driving, the desire. I mean, for example, we have one company who it's going to be in the nail. So rather it be like a little stick onto your nail. So my goodness, you'll never be without it. But they can't track where you are.
How cool is that? So what happens as your nails grow there? How do they get around?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's face it, the chips are really, I hate to say it, cheap as chips.
Yeah.
And so the chips aren't expensive. And if you're having your nails done anyway, I think they last around about 6 to 8 weeks. It didn't on my nail by the time, the actual nail grew out. And then it's just a replacement of the chip on there. So it's not intrusive into your body. It's not injected in. It's not, sort of stuck on as such. It's just held into your nail. So it's quite simple, really.
And you've opened my curiosity now. So I'm desperately looking for flaws here. But when 6 to 8 weeks later, you've replaced your nails, you cut your nails, and you're having the new chip. Do you have to go through the whole setup process of adding your cards again? Or
No. I mean, but with what we do, we have this, as I said, over-the-air capability through your mobile.
Right.
And it's literally touch it on your mobile and tap again. So you've gone through all the hard work. All you're doing now is you're associating another device with it. So tokenization, the whole concept of it is to have multiple devices. You have an identity. We create you with an identity within our system, and you just log in and add another one.
That's incredibly cool. And incredibly cool talking about things like just making payments through things like smart rings, bracelets, key fobs, and even your nails. So I'm curious, if we expand on this, what are some of the most innovative applications of sensors in wearable technology today you're seeing, particularly in areas of biometric data tracking and and acting as almost living ID. I think a few years ago, there's a thing called the quantified self, where people are gathering so much data on themselves. But what other things are you seeing?
At the moment, I think some of the interesting things that are coming out, obviously, we're very much looking at what people are comfortable with, because this is a commercial business. And I think that the future may be, sort of injectables. It may be something like that. But it's definitely people wanting the passiveness of it for security's sake. The other thing that I'm seeing, and I don't know how long it'll be before it actually comes to the market, but woven into fabric, so that you can make anything out of it, and it's fabric woven. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work, as far as how that maintains its integrity. Because don't forget, it's physics as well. But I think, that's some interesting areas that we're keeping a little bit of a brief on.
And one of my first world gripes from my former corporate life was heading to a building or a restricted area to fix something or look at something or see somebody, only to realise I'd left my pass on my desk and have to go all the way back again. So on that side of things, what kind of role are you seeing wearable tech in things like access control, authentication for homes, venues, or even as an interface between that physical world and augmented reality?
Well, we see that very strongly. And indeed, we're already supporting that. For example, we've worked with La Liga, and one of the football clubs has actually got an access control combined with payment, combined with consumer engagement, which is even more enjoyable for people. So they have their season ticket on the same device that they have their payment capability. So it's fully interchangeable, fully usable. And even within their payment application, they can see the seat number of their ticket. So this sort of thing is really expanding. And to be honest, I would like, and I am seeing the fact that it's one device suits all. However, I would tell you at night, I don't particularly want to take my office pass with me, so I might wear something completely different. So again, it's choice and it's horses for courses. But I see access control, like, going on ski lifts, something we've already done. We did that, and I hate to admit it, in Kitzbühel in 2020. But it really is there. This device, it has a chip that is capable of pretty much any contactless application, and so access control is just one of them.
And for any business leader listening, maybe an entertainment venue or even a football club owner, anyone listening here, we've just set off those light bulb moments right across. What do you think are the key factors for forward-thinking brands to successfully integrate wearable technology like we're talking about here into their product offerings? Is there anything that they should be thinking about rather than just going straight to the tech?
Yeah, I think so. I think they should be understanding what their consumer really wants. And I mean, if we go back to, for example, the Paris debacle, a tech was introduced. The tech did not suit the need, and so therefore it really didn't work. It was sort of contactless through a QR code, but it didn't work because it could be copied, it could be duplicated. And so we urge companies to say, well, I guess one of their prime concerns is security. So think about it. Think about, how your people behave, what they want to do. And secondly, I would say, do you want to maintain communication with your consumer? And if you do, you need a capability that has within it the building blocks to be able to send information to your consumer and provide your consumer with knowledge. So, for example, we have an application that sits in the chip. We call these chips promo ready for promotion. It's an application, and it can be turned into something as simple as putting your business card on it. It could be turned into something very fun. For example, like one of the areas that we're working on is doing a children's adventure hunt race. So when they get to a point they've found what they're looking for, it instantly will allow them to go to the next step. And it's all through the same device. it's a constant revolving communication. The device itself doesn't have to have the communication in it. It has to be functionally capable of delivering it. And in the back end, you have, consumer management systems and customer management systems that can actually deliver that information. So it becomes a revolving, a constantly updating capability. And you never lose touch with the consumer then and give them what they want. It's so easy for us in the tech world to come up with tech solutions. But if you're not really feeling it from the consumer's perspective, those tech solutions could be pointless.
And it is a shame that this podcast episode is going to be going out after Easter, because as I was listening to you now, I was thinking, man, we could do a tech upgrade on the Easter egg hunt, couldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. That's, silly things like that become fun things.
Yeah. And
things like that become important in different environments. So it's really measuring the level of importance of some of these things so that you're aiming it correctly at the right people.
And another big topic right now is fashion tech. So there's so many different wearables, and every footballer or athlete have got every variety of sensors attached to them, and the data they get from that is amazing. So in your opinion, what are the most significant challenges and equally opportunities in the wearable tech industry, particularly in this fashion tech space? Because I think people are getting more and more interested in this area, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. Obviously, there's quite a big thing, and there's quite an importance on sustainability. Yep. Is one of the areas. So, for example, we're trying to eliminate, and I don't think we will eliminate it in its entirety, but really reduce the amount of single-use plastics that are going out. I don't know how many you have in your wallet, but I have, too many to count.
Yeah.
And what I would like to see, and I think where the future is the consumer buying their own thing and having one thing that contains many services on it. And from a sustainability perspective, it lasts longer. They can choose how much they spend on it or how little they spend on it, or even indeed how many of them they do purchase. And we're doing things like cactus leather. I mean, it sounds crazy, but apple skin leather. So what we're doing is really helping consumers to achieve their own sustainability goals. I think also one of the things that fascinates me, and that this is where my mind is working as the innovator, we have an opportunity to truly connect the physical and the digital worlds together. So I'm looking at, considering how we're actually going to be working in the metaverse, for example. There's it's young, it's new, there's this very digital environment, but there's still the reality of humans, and there's still the reality of the physical world. And I believe through our technology and expanding that, we have a capability to connect those two worlds together, and for a consumer to decide how they want to control things. And they can do that through their physical medium into the digital world. And I think there's a huge space there for us to investigate. And that's the future. I believe that's where we're actually going, really connecting that physical to that logical and that digital environment.
Wow, incredibly cool. And before I let you go, finally, so as the co-founder and global ambassador of DIGISEQ, I'm going to ask you to look into a virtual crystal ball for a moment. How do you see the future of wearable technology evolving, and what exciting developments do you think we can expect to see in the coming years?
I think, what I've just previously said, I think the excitement is really connecting the digital with the physical. And I think that the options are absolutely unlimited. It's how big is your imagination? And I think if you, like me, my imagination was going absolutely wild when I started thinking about what we could actually achieve. Don't be constrained. And I think that what we're into is come up with an idea, and I think mostly it can actually be realized. So I think that we first of all have to focus on the real world, but I think that as the metaverse comes along and the digital world comes along, I think that's where life is going to really start bringing some strange, weird and wonderful ideas out there.
Exciting times ahead. And we've now reached a part of the podcast where I like to have a little bit of fun with my guests. So I'm going to ask you, is there a song that you can leave us with that we can add to our Spotify playlist? It can be something that helps you get your head in the zone. It can be a guilty pleasure, something you like or you just turn to. All I'm going to ask is, what are you going to leave us with and what?
Well, my song, and it has been for quite some years actually since it came out, is Elton John's I'm Still Standing. I think as an entrepreneur and as an innovator, you're constantly taking knocks in life. You're constantly being, sort of delivered tough things to sort out. And every single time I get the idea and I get it right and I manage something, I just look and I go, yep, I'm still there. I'm still standing and I can do it. And so it's my song through life. And there's been a couple of times, like in the early days of DIGISEQ, you wonder whether or not you'll ever survive as a small company trying to create a market, trying to push something that's brand new into market. And then something comes along and it says, yeah, it's there, it's working. We got investment and somebody believes in you and you go, yep, I'm still standing. I'm standing till the next one. So that's my tune.
Oh, I love it. What a great song choice. Even better story behind it. I'll add that straight to our Spotify playlist. And I suspect you've just unwittingly infected me with the I'm Still Standing earworm for the rest of the day.
Well, enjoy.
But for anybody listening wanting to find out more information about anything we talked about today, exploring the work that you do at DIGISEQ, how you might be able to help them, what's the best starting point for everything?
I guess our website is the best starting point, like most people and like most companies. So if you go to digisec.co.uk, you'll find us, you'll find information about, some of the wearables, you'll find information about what we do, and it'll give you who to contact there as well. So if your interest is piqued that enough, please do contact us. We'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. We covered so much there, and you've certainly got me thinking, buzzing with ideas, only checking out your site and looking a bit deeper into this. I'd love to stay in touch with you, see how this space is evolving, maybe get you on either at the end of the year or early next year. But just a big thank you for sharing your story with me.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Neil. And look forward to updating you. I think there'll be some exciting events towards the end of the year.
I'm still standing better than I ever did. I'm looking like a true survivor. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm Still Standing is going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the day. So thank you, Terrie, for leaving me with that particular earworm, and also for sharing your incredible insights into the world of fashion tech and the endless possibilities wearable tech has to offer. And as we've learned today, the wearable tech market is thriving and set to revolutionise not just fashion, but going beyond payment, and it will impact our everyday lives with applications like biometric data tracking, controlling home or venue access, and serving as an interface between that physical world and virtual one. And I think Terrie's passion and expertise certainly shine through in our conversation today, and undoubtedly, I think, inspired us all to think about how we can embrace the future of wearable technology in both our personal and professional lives. And if you want to learn more about Terrie and her groundbreaking work at DIGISEQ, be sure to visit their website, follow her journey in tech and fintech and wearable tech innovation, and don't forget to subscribe to Tech Talks Daily on your favourite podcast platform if this is your first episode. But that's it today, so please keep exploring, stay curious, embrace the tech that's shaping our future, and until next time, don't be a stranger.